What is going on, everyone? I am here on YouTube, just chilling. Saturday night, 6 o'clock on the East Coast, trying to do these things, see how they're going. I'm actually going to be streaming on YouTube and on Instagram together. So this is going to be another test for me, but like we're just hanging out tonight. I really have nothing going on tonight, so I figured, why not and come on and kind of show you some stuff that I have been doing, collecting, all those cool things. So I know a bunch of other guys have a stream coming on later tonight. Good luck to them. The Four Horsemen, let's call them, over at Swags and all those guys. So I'm just chilling, hanging out tonight. This is impromptu. This is like not, you know, scheduled, but I'm exhausted. I figure, you know what? I'm kind of hanging out in my comic room tonight for about an hour or so. And I think the dual stream of Instagram and YouTube together is like one of those things where I think it's only lasts an hour. So I have a max an hour on this thing, at least on the dual stream. So we're going to do that here tonight. But I wanted to say first and foremost, if you guys are a Masters of the Universe fan, I just recently put out a video regarding the reviews for the movie, man. There have been some crazy good reviews for people who got to see an unfinished version of the film this past week. And there's been nothing but positive comments that have been coming out. So if you are a fan, go check out that video I put out earlier. Some really great information. But like I said, I'm just hanging out tonight. There's not much going on. So say hello to anybody in the if you're on Instagram, great. If you're on YouTube hanging out, just say hello in the comments, just so I know you're there and everything's working. It does look like everything is there as far as I can see, but I'm seeing both comments from Instagram and people joining and saying hello, stuff like that. So I think that's awesome. So again, dual stream just to kind of see how it looks. I know the Instagram is a little bit lagging the YouTube feed. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you're getting the live aspect of what I'm saying. So first things first, I have something to unbox, but I want to show you some things that I picked up over the past couple of weeks. You guys know I'm a huge Garbage Pail Kids fan, so a lot of this today is Garbage Pail Kids centric. Some other collectibles that I have picked up, but check this out. My buddy Matt over at gpk.com. Obviously, he is a big fan of Garbage Pail Kids. He actually turned me on to some of these items that were put out in the 1980s by Imperial Toys. And here we have a keychain of Adam Bomb with the great Toys R Us sticker on this thing. Really, really cool. I got this off of eBay for a decent deal, but something you don't get to see every day out in the wild. So, and again, this is in fantastic shape. They had a couple other ones like Wrinkled Rita, stuff like that, but to get an Atom Bomb in good shape, I figured that was the one I was going to go with. So, really, really cool thing that you don't get to see every day. My buddy Como put out a video today about a toy show that he went to in his neck of the woods, and I absolutely love that video. If you guys love toys, I know Como and I have similar tastes when it comes to collecting, where he does comics, he does toys, and a lot of nostalgia item. He was on the podcast in its infancy, I think the second or third episode, and we had a great time. We got to get him back on because there's so many other things I'd love to ask him. But um, people who are in the chat on YouTube, I see you. I see you also on Instagram, but I don't really see anybody say anything on YouTube. I'm going to say, I hope your younger generation get into positive messages the cartoon used to share. I agree with you, man. That's what I said in the video today, because it's a really great thing that kind of shaped me as a kid, right? Watching that. And it wasn't just Masters Universe. It was G.I. Joe had those great messages at the end of the show, Transformers, Thundercats, that whole group of 80s cartoons was like set the tone for our livelihoods going forward. So I've heard great things. I don't want to spoil anything. Go check out the review, check out my video, and more importantly, go check out Mega J Retro, because I actually linked him in my video today, because he had a guy on who basically didn't spoil the movie at all, but just gave us all the information that he had from seeing it. It was absolutely fantastic. So Lex and Maddie's Toy Show. What is going on? I hope new Masters movie is good. What are your thoughts about the Dolph movie? So you know what? Um, I'm not gonna lie. When I was a kid, I was highly disappointed in that movie, and I think a lot of the people who were Motu fans as kids were as well. Because not only did it take place on Earth, which is fine, you know, it wasn't He-Man. That I know they called him He-Man. He was not He-Man. The chest armor wasn't He-Man. He might have had the He-Man's hair, he might have had He-Man's physique, but nothing about that movie screamed He-Man. Was it a part of my childhood? Yes. Frank Langella's portrayal of Skeletor was the best part of that movie. He did a decent job, but again, even his costume didn't lend me to think that he was Skeletor that I remembered from the cartoon and the toy line. And that's what I was expecting. I was looking forward to going into that film. So, other than that, you know, the movie is what it is. Like the Garbage Pail Kids movie, if you ever saw that, how bad it was. It had nothing to do with the cards. Their characters were in it, some of the characters, but outside of that, the story they told was absolutely horrendous. And watching it now as an adult, both these films, the He-Man movie, at least like there's a little bit of action, there's a little bit of entertainment, where the Garbage Pail Kids movie was like, oh man, this is terrible. So, but either way, it's like a fan favorite. You have to watch it. But like I said, if you watch that video today, from what I'm hearing, it's pure nostalgia from the cartoon and the toy line. So we'll end that right there. I'll take any other questions you guys have had. Trust me, just like every time that I do when I do these things. But speaking of Garbage Pail Kids, okay, so like I mentioned, my buddy Matt over at gpk.com, he actually made his own graded card holders. Now, we talked about grading, how he didn't really want to send his cards into PSA. One, because they weren't high grade, but also two, the cost to grade them, would lend to fact because they're not in pristine condition. That's what I tell a lot of people about GPK is like, unless these cards are absolutely pristine, I would not be grading them. If they're series one and you want to spend the money, I say, all right, I can get behind that. But outside of that, that's it. So he gave me the idea to kind of slab my own Garbage Pail Kids. So I went along his line that he did with a little bit of a PSA look with a little bit of a caricature, as you guys can see there. And you have 1985 Garbage Pail Kids, 64A Hot Scott stickers with the barcode. And of course, I have just a mint. I'm not going to give it a grade because I am not the card grader. I will say that. But this one is a really nice card. It's pack fresh because I did a Series 2 unpacking like a year ago, and this is from that pack. So we have the Hot Scott little logo there at the top on the label. And I thought these came out great. I'm going to get and show you the back, but they're not going to come out great here. You can see Hot Scott in the back, 64A, Mighty Seal of Approval, GPK. And believe it or not, if you scan this barcode, this QR code, I should say, it will actually take you to gpk.com to the second series page. So you could check out all the second series cards. So I thought that was a cool thing that I could add that Matt didn't have to his cards. These are work in progress because I'm constantly upgrading how these look, and these came out were okay, and I have others, but you could see on the back of this one, it says, see if I can get it to you. It says 00002, and that's because this is the second one that I made. The first one, I'm not sure which one I started with, but I'm going to show you all of them. Here is a 1985 Boney Joni. So this is a series 1 card. So 29A Boney Joni, mint stickers, the barcode on the front. And again, you could see a little picture of Boney Joni, and the back has that same information. This is number 4. And again, if you scan that QR code with your phone, it will take you to the series 1 page of gpk.com, which I thought was really cool. Took me a little time to kind of figure that out, but I was able to do it. And I plan on doing these for a bunch of cards. I'm going to show you the rest of them, but then I'm going to tell you where I got these cases from, because it's the same place that Matt got them when he was on the podcast that he told me. And they're actually really, really fantastic. They actually stay closed, where a lot of these cases that are maybe look as good, but they don't lock. These actually lock in place. You can continue opening them and change them out if you want. You can take out the label. You could use them for other cards. So they seal and then they unseal. They kind of like snap together. They're a little expensive, but the more you buy, the cheaper it gets. They're called Vanity Slabs. So check them out at vanityslabs.com or just Google Vanity Slabs and you'll find it. But I'm working on an affiliate link with them, so I could put it in the description of my video. So if you guys are interested, you help out the channel as well. But they're really cool. So here's Thin Lin. Thin Lin is 29B. And again, same thing as Boney Joni, except obviously it's 29B instead of A. And the same thing on the back. This is card number 5, the 5th one I made. But again, that QR code will take you to gpk.com series 1's page. Here's one of my favorites of all time. Again, a pack fresh card. It is Messy Tessie, an iconic Garbage Pail Kid, 45B with the Messy Tessie up there on the logo, on the label, I should say. This one is not the greatest centered card, but again, a really clean, in my opinion, it's a 9 or a 10, but what the frick do I know how PSA does this stuff. So this is the first card that I made, 0001, because I did want to do it for Tessie because the Tessie was like one of my favorite GPKs growing up as a kid, and still to this day, reminds me a lot of my childhood, Messi Tessie. So I want to say hello to Metal Elf Collectibles, who actually did comment on Instagram. So thank you very much. So I know that somebody at least is watching on Instagram, which is cool. Trying this dual live stream just to see how it works. But here's my last one that I have slammed. I only did 5. I'm working on more, and I'm updating it with different things to kind of make it stand out a little more. And we have Dead Fred. Again, another pack fresh card. This one, again, is a little bit off-centered, but Dead Fred, 57B mint. And he was card number 3. And like I said, this is a series 2 card. So it will, if you scan that QR code, it will take you to gpk.com series 2 page, and you can check out all the cards, which I thought was really, really cool. Saying hello to a couple people on YouTube. Luis Mendoza, what's going on? Derek Neiman, of course, a channel member. How are you, brother? Thanks for popping in. Again, I'm coming on for an hour just to chat. I know the big 4 guys are doing a live stream tonight, so I didn't want to interfere with that. I actually thought about doing a live later, but I'm like, let them have their night and do their thing. I'm sure plenty of people are going to be on it, but outside of that, I just wanted to kind of have a conversation with you guys for about an hour or so. I also want to show you some other stuff that I bought. So I don't really like doing unboxings really on the channel unless it's something massive that I can kind of build up. But I'm not really collecting anything massive right now. So, you know, it is what it is. But channel member channel member Derek Neiman, thanks for stopping by. And if you want to become a channel member, guys, you get all my videos early. I put them all up, a day or two minimum before they go out for everybody else. So I think that the cheapest one is like $1.99. It's a really great way to kind of support the channel. I did put out there today, actually on my Instagram and on YouTube, that I'm doing a 20% off to the end of the year on any merch you guys are interested in. I just put together a new Rewind sweatshirt, which I just purchased myself. So I'll be getting that in about a week and a half or so. And they're all great quality products, as you guys can see. So, Sean Band, what is going on, my friend? How are you? Greetings from the Windy City. How are you, my friend? Thank you for popping in. Like I said, we're dual streaming today on Instagram and on YouTube just to kind of see how this goes, see if people jump on the Instagram feed or they're only on YouTube. But I have something planned for this later on, maybe next year, but we'll see how it works. Another thing I wanted to show you guys, check this out. I picked this up and it's wild, but I picked this up on Facebook Marketplace, believe it or not. Here is a Series 1 pack of Garbage Pail Kids. Still sealed, graded by PSA. You guys could see first series wax pack, near mint in a 7. It's got the ID number. Show you guys the back. It's in a weird old school PSA case, which is not the greatest thing. I'm not going to lie to you, but I actually thought about cracking this thing open. How great would that be to crack a freaking 40-year-old wax pack of Series 1 Garbage Pail Kids? But this cost me, a decent chunk of change. So I'd really have to get a big hit to do this. I'd have to take some balls to crack this thing out and see if I can get an Atom Bomb or a Nasty Nick in mint condition, because that would easily save me the money, obviously, that I spent to buy that thing. But I always wanted a Series 1 pack. I'm just contemplating whether I want to open it or not. And it's probably going to be a bit, because I have to really think on it and see if it's worth it. But it would be good television, right? It would be fantastic television. No question. On a different note, another thing that I am starting to collect that I know you guys have seen in a recent video of mine and an off the cuff video are WWE superstars. Now, you saw me pick up the Hogan recently, and about a week and a half later, John Cena showed up to my doorstep. Now, these are the mid blue cards. There's actually 3 cards. They're saying the black versions, and I got the black Hulk Hogan's. I sold one already. The black ones are the chase cards. There's a medium blue and a lighter blue. I believe this is the medium blue, but really cool John Cena LJN figure that, this is one that we never had growing up, because obviously it was the 1980s. John Cena wasn't a wrestler then, but either way, really cool to see him on the card. I was able to pick him up. I did not pick up Logan Paul. I'm telling you that right now. Not a huge fan. I hear he's an incredible athlete, but this has got to be part of my nostalgia for me to pick it up. So, and the other one I was able to snatch up, they sent me a black Chase Dusty Rhodes, of course, in his polka dot outfit. Iconic Dusty here. Again, a beautiful card, mint, but again, in true Target fashion, they have a sticker on the back like the pure assholes that they are. So if you're an LJN fan, like these hit home for you. I'm not going to lie. They are iconic. Uh, I cannot tell you how many hours me and my mom spent looking for these things at flea markets that we used to go to in the Bronx. uh, Yonkers Raceway Flea Market. If anybody out there watches this in the rewind or is listening and you went to that thing growing up as a kid, it was awesome. There was a giant table set up with all these figures when they first came out. And that was a core memory for me growing up as a kid. So really, really awesome. So this line so far has been absolutely fantastic with Hogan, Dusty, John Cena, and Wave 2, I believe, is coming out in January. The Ultimate Warrior, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Jesse the Body Ventura, and King Kong Bundy. All four I got to get. I'm a big Ventura guy. There is no greater announcer ever out there in wrestling than Jesse the Body Ventura. You can say Vince McMahon, them together might have been the greatest duo of all time in any capacity. I mean, we could talk about Jim Ross and Jerry the King Lawler. We could talk about Joey Styles from ECW. We could talk about that, but iconic Vince and the Body, the pose downs, the bench presses stuff, the stuff they did back in the 80s was wild. So all four of those figs, I definitely got to pick up. No questions asked. Derek says, don't forget to hit the like, everyone. It's free and helps the channel 100%. Guys, if you can, always hit that like button. We got 16 people right now. And like I said, I didn't even promote this thing. There's no thumbnail for this video. I just wanted to come on and have a conversation and show you some stuff that I picked up. So make sure you guys check it out. So LJN is no longer around. Helmut presents LJN is no longer around, but you could see these are actually made by Mattel, but they're using the old LJN logo because LJN is no longer around. I'm not sure if they were purchased by Mattel or they have the trademark for that, but they are LJN, but they're made by Mattel. If that helps, that answers your question. I don't know. I don't have all the answers. I'd love to have somebody on who could talk about these more because they are amazing, amazing. And the newer stuff you get on a lot of toys, like the card backs are real flimsy and real shitty. Dude, these are like, look how thick that is. These are like really hard. They're really tough to kind of mangle. You have to do like really hit these things hard. And the box that one of these came in was absolutely destroyed. And this thing is almost pristine outside of the fucking sticker on the back. So these are really cool. If you're, like I said, if you're a fan of these things, these are going to be a little hard to get wave 1, but you got it. As soon as that pre-order hits on Target for wave 2, you got to be all over it because all 4 characters are phenomenal. You can still get Logan Paul right now on Target's website if you want to, but it is what it is. You know what I mean? If you're a Logan Paul fan. So I want to say hello to Jay Knows the Way. Love the content, Lawrence. Thank you so much, brother. So Derek, they don't have Macho Man yet, but we're going to be in wave 2. I'm sure we're going to get all the classic characters that we got because the WWE has these licensed. Okay, so they got to have the license to be able to have these figures. So they have the WWE license. So I'm assuming they're going to get all these characters. If they got Jesse the Body, then I got to imagine that they're going to have most of them, right? He's come on and he's put out there that like every time he's on television, he gets like paid by WWE. He doesn't have like a Legends contract. He actually gets paid every time they air him, even if it was old reclips, even if it was like new stuff, if he's come on. That's why he hasn't been on WWE television forever until recently. And now that may be gone as well because I heard there was an issue. But regardless, these are awesome. Jno says, anybody here from Rob's Saturday Slabs Pod? I don't know what Rob's Saturday Slabs Pod is, but enlighten me. Totally enlighten me. And again, I see one person watching on Instagram Live, which is cool because not a lot of people. I don't do this often on Instagram, but I'm going to do a lot more streams where they're on both platforms to kind of get more viewers and stuff like that. So this is like almost like a test stream, but at the same time, I said to myself, let me just come on and share what I got. Again, if you're a card fan and you like making your own slabs, I thought this was really cool. I want to thank Matt over at gpk.com for turning me on to Vanity Slabs and showing me his artwork and what he's put into his cards. And if you, of course, you haven't listened to the podcast I did with him, it was such a great interview, such a great thing to hear from him and his love for GPK. It's really a thing out there in our community. I know a lot of people out there watch me for comics and stuff, which is awesome. Like, I want to say this, like, I watched Como's video today about him going to a toy show, and primarily his videos has been about comics, right? He's a comic collector, he's a comics dealer, and that's what he's done. But at heart, he's like me. He's into nostalgia. He's into collecting things that he had growing up as a kid, or maybe he didn't have, and he saw that he wanted. And now, as an adult, he tries to find those things. And toys are one of those things that I'm happy to see he finally put out a toy video, because I loved seeing what he saw at the show, the things he showed us, and then coming back and showing what he picked up and what he talked about. It was his passion for what he saw and what he got. So I really like that kind of content. Like, it's similar to my own, and that's why I make the content that I make, because it's those are the things that I enjoy as well. So I do have one other thing I'm going to show you, but I actually have to unbox it, and it might take me a bit. So I just want to catch up in the chat and say hello to everybody. Another member of the channel, and to me, one of the best channels out there, still only 35 cents. If you guys are not subbed to him, make sure you are, because he's putting out some of the best edited content out there right now in the comic space. Make sure you check him out. What is going on, my friend? How are you? He says he was there on the pod, Rob's Saturday Slabs pod. Are we talking about Rob's Fat Stacks? Is that what we're talking about? His Saturday show? Let me know. Toy binging, great video on Motu and the MJR interview. Thank you so much, man. If you're a Motu fan, I really enjoyed that. I'm looking forward to Motuniverse, which is going to be in May of next year. If you're a Masters of the Universe fan in California, I know they just reached a $20,000 goal today as it ended. I think they were 5,000 short of the ultimate goal, or maybe less than that the last time I checked. But either way, $20,000 raised for a Masters of the Universe themed convention next year with the movie coming out. It's going to be an awesome time. They have some awesome guests, and I'm sure more great announcements are going to be coming out about that con. Kenneth Bird, how are you? JSS, good to see you, my friend. I have to make you a wrench, man. I keep forgetting to do that. I've just been super busy with my regular job, and of course, everything else that's going on in my life. But to each his own. Again, let me see if I can unbox this and show you guys what I was able to pick up. And like I said, if you guys have any questions, you want to talk about something, I'm down for the next about 40 minutes or whatever the stream ends. They cut me off. Again, who's going to be on this swag stream later on their new podcast? I forgot what it's called. The Ungraded Truth. That's it. If you're going to be on that stream later, let me know. I might pop in, say hello, listen if I can, if there's nothing going on tonight here at the house. But those guys always do a great job. Ryan from Automatic Comics is putting out some great detective work. That's what he's good at, man. His detective work for what he does with CGC. And I saw him do that video on that Suspense 3. Absolutely wild. So kudos to him. He's done a really great job in our community. So, shout out to those guys. Maybe we'll get some of them back on the channel here as well to talk about some other stuff. But, then a thing that I wanted to mention to everybody is that, and that's why I brought up Como before, is that how many of you guys and gals out there collect more than one thing? Like, you collect, obviously a lot of us collect comics, a lot of us, some of us collect toys too, cards. A lot of us, as I said, are cross collectors, where we collect a lot of things. Myself, you could see all the shit in this room. Between, I have a few statues, comics, some toys, loose toys, graded toys, garbage pail kids, cards, original art. You guys name it, and some of the stuff you don't see in this room is just wild. So you only see this little rectangular section that I film in every video. I have done, a room tour before, but how many people out there collect other stuff, and how much other stuff? Like, you could see with Como's videos, like a lot of the stuff right now in the comic market, and he's a dealer, like it's very repetitive. That's the issue I'm finding with comics right now, is it's very repetitive. There's not a lot of comics out there that are like that I don't see all the time, right? Maybe there are, like that Suspense 3 that came up, right? You don't see that come up all the time. Action Comics 1, some of those Golden Age rare gems. But how many times are we going to talk about Hulk 340? How many times are we going to walk into a show and see an ASM 300? How many times are we going to have these books sell and talk about them on the Hot 10? That's the issue with comic collecting right now, and I think why a lot of collectors cross collect, because there's so many other things that they want to get into, whether it be sports cards, toys, all the shit that I mentioned before, and a lot of them maybe have also left or slimmed down their buying of comics because they've gotten into other things. Now, myself, that's part of it with me, but also the other part is that I've kind of acquired everything that I've wanted to acquire in my comic journey. But I think a lot of people out there are saying to themselves, everything out there is readily available when we're talking about comics. So what's important to me? What's important to what I want to do going forward? Is it nostalgic for me? Is it not? So on and so forth. So I'm unboxing this, and it's going to take me a second, like I said, because it's wrapped tightly and whatever. So I want to take my time here. But like I said, how many of you guys and gals collect other things? So I'm looking at the chat while we do this. And also I'm seeing host Chonko. What's going on, man? How are you? Thanks for popping in the chat. Like I said, we're just kind of hanging out here tonight for a little bit. James hates everything. All right. So if you're an arcade guy, like I'm an arcade guy, and I've reached out to James before to kind of have him on the podcast, talk about arcades. He has a great channel where he talks about everything arcade and more. So if you like arcades, go check out James Hates Everything, which is also a great YouTube name, by the way, because, that name kind of feeds into everything that I'm about. So check him out as well. Tiker, what's going on? So Luis says, I keep it simple, Mighty, with collecting comics, vintage, Star Wars, and firearms. I don't blame you there. That's for sure. 100%. But that's a great thing. I actually have a lot of friends who actually collect firearms, especially like vintage stuff, like old school World War II guns, stuff like that. Wild stuff. What the says, any word on Orko in the new movie? So no one has mentioned anything, but have you watched my video today? What the? I kind of mentioned, and I don't want to spoil it because go watch it, but I kind of mentioned this one part where we kind of get everything. And that's what, go check out Mega J Retro's video because he had somebody on who saw the movie and was at the screening. And he said that, I don't want to spoil it. Go listen to it. It's a 10-minute video. You'll get everything you need out of it. Still only 35 cents. I agree, L. I'm finding that my vids on more obscure books are getting lots of interest. People are exploring more eager than the usual overexposed keys. Yeah, and that's why I put out the top 10 comics of the week, just for that reason, because I find it interesting, right? I'm finding all these things where I never knew that the one this week about the AF-15 reprint, the first AF-15 reprint in black and white, I never knew about that book. Never knew about that book. A good buddy of mine, Errol, he actually owned that book back in the day and sold it for a ridiculous amount of money. That's how unknown it is. He knew about it. And I got to be honest, when I first got back into collecting, he was somebody who kind of helped me and kind of gave me some of the knowledge that I didn't know about. So kudos to Errol if he's ever going to watch this later on. Thanks to you, brother. JSX, you can include pre-code horror in that. Yeah, absolutely. There's no question. Tiker says, I hate buying stuff that keeps going down in value. So yes, I've branched out to other collectibles where I'm not losing my money. So there's an interesting point. And I'm almost done unboxing this, but the guy who bought this from really like taped these up, and these are not easy to kind of get off. But regardless, that's, I think, is a big part of it. A lot of collectibles right now have gone down in value. I've done a ton of Garbage Pail Kids videos, and people continuously email me saying, oh, how can I get this for this? How much is this worth? And GPK has gone down so much since about 3 years ago, where I put out some of my first videos that got crazy views. It's just all collectibles. Sports cards now have kind of also taken a beating for some of those cards that are coming out. So it's not just comics. Maybe the comics were the first to go, but we're seeing in other collectibles right now how the money aspect of it is really just flatlined. And the only thing I could think of that hasn't really gone down in value, and you guys let me know, is Pokemon. And I'm not a Pokemon collector, but I know probably some of you are. And it's still just ridiculously hot. Ridiculously hot. Brandon Metro, it's good seeing you, brother. I'm close to finishing my 1980s Battle Beast collection, Series 1 and Series 2. So that's another one. Like, I think Battle Beast, especially with the comics now and stuff like that, is another one that's getting hot. All right, so I finally got this unboxed. Insane. Let me finish the comments and then I'll show you guys what I picked up. So Jay knows the way. He says favorite arcade game. So if you watch my videos that I've done on arcade, you know it's Punch Out, not Mike Tyson's Punch Out, which that was my favorite NES game. But my original favorite arcade game is Punch Out, the original one from Nintendo. I think it was 1980. It was 81 or 82 or 83 that game came out, and I was hooked. I actually owned that arcade later on as a young kid. I actually went out and saved my money and bought that arcade and put it in my home until my home caught on fire when I was in college and it burnt it. But it didn't burn to the ground, but the top end of it was burnt, and eventually over time it wouldn't turn on again. I tried to get it fixed, and the guy told me I needed to buy a new, you know, game inside. Regardless, I wasn't going to do that. You could probably spend the money and buy a whole new goddamn arcade at that point. So with that said, that's my favorite arcade game of all time. Still to this day, I love it. I play it all the time. All the time. Dan T says, I collect video games and guitar effects pedals. That's cool, man. Big music guy. I have a cousin of mine who's the same age, who's also into Motu, big Motu fan, but he is a singer and he has his own band, and they were actually really, really good. He plays in New York, but you'd be surprised to know he collects stuff too. So we're all the same. I'm not going to lie to you. All the same. When the economy recovers, the market will bounce. Buy the dip. I say the same thing. If you're a long-term holder, like, especially with Silver Age Marvel, if we're talking comics, Silver Age Marvel to me is always going to be that spot that everybody, I think, is going to want to come back to at some point. Forget the movies, forget all that other stuff. It's even for me, if you're a Marvel fan, you're going to want to own some of those big boys. And that's the way I look at it. The smaller keys are great. I'm not saying that you shouldn't own them, because you should. It's just, I think those are the keys you really have to be careful on how much you pay, especially in this market. So still only 35 cents is Gauntlet. I love that game too. Gauntlet was awesome. I did a top 10 arcade game video that it got like 2,000 views, which is okay for me. But that video was like, if you watch it, is one of my favorite videos that I've ever made in my life, because it was just awesome. It was awesome. The work that I put into that, the videos that went into it, like all the gameplay videos that came out, it was absolutely phenomenal. It's such a good video. And it was like set back to like 1980s music. It was awesome. It was really awesome. He says Star Wars Arcade was good. The original, yes, I agree with you 100%. I go check out that top 10. After we're done tonight, go check out that top 10. Killer Money. Right now, I'm just collecting comics and Origins mainly, but I'll get other stuff sometimes, 80s related. Trying to stick to one toy line at a time right now. That's what's tough, right? I've kind of slimmed it down to Motu. I had, I was doing the Origins. That line kind of died out. And I did a Spider-Man retro figs for a while, but then they kind of made all the figures that I wanted to get out of it. So now I'm into the WWE Superstars. That's my new one. And, they're pretty inexpensive for what they are. Back in the day, if you didn't find these on release, which you're not gonna, I found them, they're all secondary market. Like, they were ridiculously expensive. None of them were cheap on the secondary market. I remember my mom, like I said before, like, she spent quite a bit of money on these things for me. So, Mom, thank you if you ever watch this, which you're never gonna. James says Punch Out is one of his faves. It is. I think all those classic 80s Nintendo, Donkey Kong Jr., Donkey Kong, Popeye to me. Popeye, go watch that video. I don't want to spoil it. Go watch that video. But Popeye to me is on that list as well. An iconic game. In fact, James recently did a video about one of his home mods of a Popeye mod. So like I said, if you're into arcades, go check out James Hates Everything. He made me actually go want to purchase the one he did. And I did, James. I did. I was able to talk to him. He included me in that first wave of arcade machines. So I know we're still a few months out of actually getting it, but I got one thanks to you, man. JSS says, which economy? 35 cents. Stocks at all-time high and rates getting cut. Prices still dropping. It's a buyer's market for collectors. Yeah, but you're right in everything you just said, JSS. The problem is this: is that if you, I'm a stock market guy, but if you look at the S&P over the past couple of years, we really have gotten sideways. I know we've made new highs, but it's very volatile is not the word, but it's very inconsistent. We're up, we're down, we're up, we're down, we're up, we're down, and we're just like kind of trending higher, but by not by much. So yes, I think we've all made money if you have money in the market, but at the same time, people are very afraid to put money to work. We're not like streaming higher. When people are not afraid to put money to work, you'll see the market jump. You see the volume go higher. And we're not really seeing that from what I'm seeing. So I do think people are being cautious what they do. And we can add on other factors like we talked about before, people getting into other things other than comics. So in all collectibles, I think you go from one to one to one to one to one, depending where you are in your journey. So it all plays a factor. James says, toys are killing me. Motu, MCU Legends, Superpowers, Ben Cooper, Secret Wars, and way too many vintage toys. It's hard, especially with all like the recreations now. I don't know the word I want to use here, but Motu 100%. Like I have the origins. Then they kind of do the cartoon collection now, which is some of them are really awesome. I'm not gonna lie, but I can't justify buying the same Motu figs over and over. I have the vintage line for the most part. I'm still working on a few here, and I have the origins. I don't collect the newer characters. MCU Legends, the Marvel Legends, I think have died out a little bit, right? My son used to collect them all. Like he loved them, but he would open them all. And I always tell him, don't open any of this shit. He's like, no, I got to open it. I got to play. Okay, whatever. They've kind of died out. Superpowers were a thing for a bit. The vintage to me was, they were great. I had them growing up as a kid, but the newer ones didn't really take off as I thought they would. Ben Cooper, Secret Wars, the newer figs, again, same as the Superpowers. They really didn't take off, the newer ones, as opposed to the vintage. So yeah, if you're a toy collector, there's a lot of things you want to dip your toe in, but it's just hard right now, right? Money's tight. You got to really focus on the things that you really, really want. Well, there's some of them there. 35 cents. I don't even classic role playing games too. 100%. Dungeons and Dragons, Warhammer, Call of. I don't even know how to pronounce that because I am not familiar with that game. James, let me know if you know what that game is. I do not. Awesome. Cost of living, creativity, cost of living, creating uncertainty and concern, all countries, no question. There's so much shit going on right now in the world. That is also a factor, right? Because people don't want to spend money because they don't know what the hell is going on right now. So 100%, that's a great point. I don't want to talk about the politics stuff. Let's talk about the fun stuff. And I think it got maybe about like 20 to 25 minutes before at least the IG cuts off. I'm not sure. We have nobody watching on IG according to the live stream there, but that's okay. Patel Philippe, what is going on? A $2 super chat. ASM 3 or Avengers 1 if you had to choose either book. You guys know I'm a Spidey guy, so I'm always going to choose ASM 3. It's just that to me is like, it's a top 3 Amazing Spider-Man book for me. Like it just is. Like I've always, Doc Ock is my favorite villain. People say the cover's not that great. I think it is. I think it's phenomenal. So I'm always going to go ASM 3. Avengers 1, I said this on the Hot 10 this week, which by the way, guys, there's some new stuff coming to the Hot 10. The books are the same, but there's new stuff coming to the Hot 10. It's going to look a little different, which is going to be cool. You saw a little bit of a change this week. You're going to see more of a change coming up. And there's going to be some fun stuff. So I'm trying to think of new ways to bring more fun to a good video. So stay tuned for that. But Patel Philippe, thank you for the super chat. ASM 3 all the way. The Avengers 1, I think it's a good consolation prize. That's what I said. If you can't go on getting the AF-15s, if you get those bigger books, I don't want to own an Avengers 1. If you can't, then yes, 100%. If you're not a Spidey guy, Avengers 1, I would definitely buy it. JSS says he's agreed. It's the point about buying collectibles. Where do you put your money? Most people, especially the COVID flippers, etc., during the price blip, people are investing in practical things. Great point, my friend. James says that was pronounced Cthulhu. I am not familiar with that game. I'm not gonna lie, and I'm old, so I'm wondering if that kind of came out when I kind of aged out of arcade, right? I think when the NES came out, maybe a little bit after that, I kind of aged out the end of the arcade and didn't go as much. I talked about Nathan's in Yonkers, New York. I talk about what was that? Showbiz Pizza is another one I talked about in that video. That was the 80s video arcade video. It talked about Showbiz Pizza. So if you know what Showbiz Pizza is, who was later became Chuck E. Cheese, I think Chuck E. Cheese ended up buying them out. That is iconic, absolutely iconic. 35 cents there. Is there any one book you are still looking for? The answer is no. Uh, you see that? I always do this when I'm doing that. You see that book right there? That's the one that I thought I would never ever own in my lifetime, ever. And when I got that, I knew that I probably was done. I still buy like little books here and there if I can find something that I've never seen before. Like I bought that crime suspense stories where the guy's blowing out his brains because I've always loved that cover. My boy Como actually hooked me up with a He-Man and the Master Universe and She-Ra Christmas special comic, the movie comic, when they released that movie into theaters. So he actually found a stack of them somewhere. He did a video on this, and I said, dude, you got to save one for me. And he actually ended up saving one and sending it over to me, which is really cool. And it's really, really nice copy. So shout out to Como. Stuff like that you don't get to see every day, I buy. I bought a great Spider-Man Marvel Tales X-Men book for like cheap, like $10 at my LCS. Whenever I do like these top 10 comics of the week videos, like when I see something that I never saw before and I can find it for cheap, I'm like, you know what, for cheap, I'll go ahead and buy it. Like, you know what? I'm not into spending a lot of money on comics anymore because I think I've acquired everything that I've ever wanted to had outside an Action One, which is never going to happen. There's no way it's going to happen. I have to sell everything off just to own one, and I don't see the value in doing that. Oh. And getting back to scarcity, anyone with a credit card may buy an AF-15, but knowing your books and enjoying them is what counts. And I think that's I agree with you, JSS. I've been like, what's the word I'm looking? I've been like suggesting that on my channel for the past like 3 to 4 years. Like, I think it's great to own some of these books. I think it's great to own some of these things that can create value monetarily down the road. But if you have more of a sentimental value for these things, that's what really makes it worth owning. Like my He-Man and Skeletor down there on card, I cannot tell you. It took me how many years to go and buy them. I had them when I was younger, yes, but like it took me this long to kind of just bite the bullet and say, I really like to have those back in the collection again. And that's another thing because you go from buying something to getting rid of it to maybe buying it again later on because that's how much you love it. And that's what makes collecting fun. If it's just about money, forget it. You're never going to enjoy yourself. It's always going to be about how much money did I make? How much money did I lose? And it's not enjoyable to me. I want to sit here and I want to be able to play my arcades. I want to be able to check out all the stuff that I grew up absolutely loving. Great point, my man. Brandon Metro says, at the mall in the 90s, there would be 20 of us standing around the Mortal Kombat arcade machine. 100%. For me, it was Street Fighter before that. Street Fighter 2, not the original, 2. We would wait all day long. But if you want to go real into like old school, so my parents both grew up in the Bronx. And on the weekends, my parents are divorced. I would go visit my mom on Saturdays or Friday nights. And Saturday morning, afternoon, like we'd all go hang out in the area, and there was a corner delicatessen. And in that delicatessen, there were arcade games. The guy had like 2 or 3 arcade games that he would constantly kind of swap in and out because people would kind of hang out in the area and he knew that he could make money off it. Okay. Regardless, he had Miss Pac-Man and he had eventually Donkey Kong Jr. Those two machines, I remember putting the quarter up there and just waiting for like 5 or 6 people to kind of finish, die out. One of them was my aunt. I'll never forget my Aunt Gloria. She's still out there. Again, another person who's never going to watch this video. She'll remember this. She was one of the best players of Miss Pac-Man you're ever going to find. She was awesome. I never still remember that to this day, putting my quarter up there and watching her play and watching all these other people play. It made me want to get more into arcades. And that to me was old school. That Miss Pac-Man and Donkey Kong Jr. Again, 2 of them that are on that video. Again, that was a great video. I'm telling you right now, I'll share it if I remember after this, just to reshare it again so everybody watch it. It was really good. Patel Philippe, thank you again for a super chat, my friend. I really appreciate it. What are the minimum grades you would recommend for these books? Giant Size X-Men 1, Hulk 181, Tomb of Dracula 10, and Morals Wildlife. It's all Bronze Age, books. I've said this time and time again, like there are 10 books from the Bronze Age, like I would definitely want to own. I would own maybe like 20 from the Silver Age, 10 from the Bronze. and maybe like 5 from the copper for me. That's just me, but you know, everybody's different. Uh, I would say 7.5 or higher, and that's just my personal preference. That's just my personal preference. I think when we get to talk about bronze with the amount of copies out there, and I'll throw ASM 129 in there as well, a 7.5 or higher if you can afford it. That's what I would do. The higher, the better in these books, because just go look at the census numbers. Go where the least amount of copies are and buy that. I'm not saying that they're not eventually going to be more, because we all know there's a ton of more raw copies of these books out there. There just are. There's just so many of them that people don't realize how many there actually are. I still want to own them, and maybe in sort of that order. I would throw ASM 129, GSX 1, Spotlight 5, ASM 129, 181 for me, and then Tomb of Dracula 10. And I'll throw Werewolf by Night 32 in there as well. My personal preference is 7.5. If you could do 8, I'll do 8. But the bigger issue for me is page quality, right? If you can get all these books with white pages, I think that's the best bang for your buck. There's no question in my mind, especially when we're talking about bronze. 100%. Oh, man, where did I leave off here? 100%. Frankly, buy the book, not the grade. Again, if you can't afford a high grade Bronze Age book, don't buy it. So buy what you can afford and you're happy with. Again, we talk about nostalgia. We talk about what you want to own. That's all that matters, right? Well, half of my Silver Age Amazing Spider-Man, they're low grade. They're complete. They present pretty good, but they're all low grade because I don't need to own crazy high grades. I have a 0.5 ASM1 missing a back cover, but it presents like a 4.0. And I usually don't want incomplete books, but because I have an AF15, that's why I did it. I say that all the time. So Luis says 8.0. We're on the same page, me and Luis here. Thank you, JSS. I really appreciate that, man, friend. We're expanding to more stuff. I'm trying to do more things. I actually had somebody reach out to me yesterday, maybe wanted to promote their thing on the channel, possibly be a sponsor. We're working on that right now. It's something to do with collectibles as well, which is really cool. So look forward to that. I think it's a really cool thing, especially if you're into finance, which is cool. We talked a little bit of economics and finance today, but it is a collectible thing. So stay tuned for that if it comes to fruition. Oh, Bubble Bobble, Dan says. Bubble Bobble was his favorite arcade game. I can't argue with that. It was a great game. Not one of my faves, but it was a great game. The thing about arcades, especially for me, the more simple the game was, the better I thought it was. Like that, once we started getting into like beat 'em up stuff like that, while they're being extremely simple, like TMNT, iconic. Punisher to me, iconic because I was a Marvel guy. I was a TMNT guy as well. But beat 'em ups were fine. Double Dragon, another one. Double Dragon, go watch that video. I probably spoiled all of them on there, but regardless, Double Dragon to me was like, talk about racing. The good part about that video, and I don't want to keep talking about it, is like I tell you where I was first introduced to the game in the video. And that's what makes it really cool. It's not like, all right, we talk about the game, I show you the gameplay, talk about a little bit about the history of the game, but I tell you where I was first introduced to the game and where I remember playing the game. That's what made the video great. Still only 35 cents. Says, did you guys see the UK auction that had a massive collection of multiple lots of the Superman, Bradman, Bar Mitzvah issue? Yes, I did see that. I know what you're talking about, but yes, I 100% saw that. And the dude like slabbed them all. Is that what we're talking about? And now he's got MJ had that on his video. I thought he put out something about that. That's where I saw it. Yes, insane. I saw that. And it was a super rare book. And guess what? Now, not so much anymore. That's the biggest fear with comics and really with anything collectible. I thought about this today when Como did his video about the toys, is that, you know, people are still uncovering comics all the time, but how many times do you see a vintage sealed toy come up? Like you don't, like, if you may see one and then you may never see it again. So that's the difference between comics and toys. And that's what I made the comment on Como's channel. It's like, you may go to a toy show and you'll see something that you're never going to see again in your life. So that's the difference between comics and toys. I think why maybe people have shifted over into other collectibles. Even with sports cards, when you're talking about vintage, it's the same thing. You're like, some rare cards you may never see from one show to the next. Horvath says 3.5 for those books, but your miles, I know what you mean, but buy what you can afford. There's no question about that. Black Spiders, what's going on, brother? How are you? There you are. There we go. Black Spider says hello to everybody in the chat. Another $5 super chat from Patel Philippe. Thank you so much, my friend. I still haven't shown you what I got on unboxed, by the way. It's just been a really good conversation with all of you guys. If I handed 40K to the collector exchange, which is, by the way, it's something on my Instagram now that I started. If you want to sell something that in the collectible space, if it meets the criteria for the collectible exchange, I will post it for you guys on Instagram and on YouTube and wherever I, post stuff for my Instagram of my collectible stuff. But going down the line, when I have enough people on there, what I will do is I will promote video. I will put videos out there promoting some of these collectibles. So I'll do a video on what's available at the collector's exchange, but I have to have enough inventory to do so. I've sold a couple of things now, so we'll see how that shakes out. If I handed 40K to the collector exchange, which books would be possible for them to source me realistically in grade, including the fee? A Batman 1 or a Tech 31. It's easier to find a Batman 1 than a Tech 31 overall. There's no question. There's like 300 plus of a Batman 1. I think there's just over 100 now on Tech 31 on the census, Pop Report, whatever the fuck you want to call it. So it's easier to find a Batman 1. For 40K, you could definitely get a restored copy now. There's no question in my mind. Tech 31 is going to be a little bit harder. For 40K, definitely going to be a little bit harder. And now I don't know if you care about restored, blue label. You're not finding either of those in a blue label for 40K. Not happening. Like 4 years ago, there was a really destroyed Batman 1 that sold for 40 something K, but it was a blue label. I almost bought it, but I didn't. She was talking about those books, that Bradman books. So Braddock 843, thank you for coming in today. Tech 168 is my grail. Of course, that's the Joker origin. I'm fairly new to the hobby and really enjoy the cover art, especially pre-code and bronze horror. I agree with you. Pre-code, I've said this on a recent video. I don't remember which video it was. A pre-code horror to me has got some of the best art that has ever been done in the comic space. There's no question in my mind. That's if I was going to buy a comic book just based on art and not about nostalgia, it would be a pre-code horror book just because of the art. It's unbelievable. All those great artists from that era that did pre-code, Lee Elias, Bernard Bailey is one of my absolute favorite artists of all time. I'm going to say he's probably my top three after John Romita Sr. and Todd McFarlane and Jack Kirby. So let's put him 4. After those 3, he's 4. So I agree with you there. Tiker says, if you had an opportunity to buy a cover wrap only for Tech 27 down the line, would you do it to marry to your book? So this is a phenomenal question. And you're not the first person to ask me this question, okay? I've had numerous people say to me, if you found a cover, would you buy it? Listen, if I got a cover for cheap, I would buy it. The problem is, if you go check out the last sales, and some of them have been recent on cover onlys, they're more than the books, right? There was a coverless Tech 27 that sold, I think, a year and a half ago. I did a little short documentary on me trying to buy that book. I actually ended up checking out at the end. So if you haven't watched that, go ahead and check it out. It's called, what the hell is it called? Finding History or whatever the hell it's called. I forgot what it was called, but it was a short documentary I did about me trying to buy this book. Regardless, the problem is, as I said, you're going to pay over 6 figures for the cover. 100%. I can't afford to buy a 6-figure cover or any book for that matter. I would never spend $100K on a book. I don't see it fiscally responsible for me where I am right now in my life financially. If I was a millionaire, I would do it. I'm not. So that answers that. Like, I can't do it. Akari Warriors was fire on the NES. So again, I'm going to promote myself a little bit. I did a top NES games of all time also on the channel. Make sure you check that out. And I'm actually going to do a part 2 to that as well eventually. But it's going to take me some time. But definitely, NES is such a classic console that I have to keep doing that. So I have a couple of comments on the Instagram stream. So I'm sorry if I'm ignoring you guys. Mega J, what is going on? 2026, the year of Motu. Hearing good things about the Motu movie. Yes, you are. And I'll say it again. I put up my video today directing everybody over to Mega J Retro. He sat down and talked to somebody who actually got to see the film. And just listening to the conversation they had, I started tearing up. That's how good what this dude was saying. So it was unbelievable. So if you're a Motu fan, check out my video and go check out Mega J Retro. Slim Rock Stash says, I'm fairly new to the comic hobby and I enjoy the art of the older covers, especially pre-code and Bronze Age horror. So you're on both streams because that's the one I just answered. So, all right. I think I'm caught up right now. Great conversation tonight, guys. Absolutely phenomenal. Still only 35 cents. As soon as those hit the market, I swore off it as they aren't rare now with them flooding the market. He's talking about that Superman, Bradman book. So I get it. And that's the big fear I think a lot of collectors have. I said that before about buying, especially some of these newer books. You don't know where they're showing up. If you guys follow the Golden Age Guru, I think he bought a collection of 350,000 books that are all still in a box. Who the frick knows what's in there? You have no idea. So eventually when he's done unboxing all this stuff, and he does it very, very slowly, maybe we'll find some other stuff. Like, but they're all newer-ish books. They're copper age books, I think, for the most part. Jay knows the way with a $5 super chat. Thank you so much, Jay. Really appreciate it, buddy. Lawrence, can you talk about how page color, white, off-white, cream affects value? Example, if an ASM 129 7.0 white pages versus off-white versus a cream differ in value. So we could go back like 3 or 4 years ago, and I don't think the page color discussion was as important as it is today. I will say that. When I got back into collecting in 2017, 2018, nobody even thought about that. Maybe if you were collecting for a really long time, you never got out of it, and you're a big CGC enthusiast since 2000. I used CGC in 2000 when they first came out, but then kind of abandoned comics for a while. Nobody really talked about page color as much. Now, with the amount of books coming to market, everyone's a little afraid of buying that off-white to white or cream to off-white book, especially if they're bronze, even silver now. Like, people are being very, very picky in what they buy. Very, very, very picky on what they buy. So, with that said, Bronze Age books, I only want to own white pages now because of the amount of copies out there. Yes, you'll pay a little bit of a premium, but it's not going to be that much more than you think that you would have paid for, depending on the grade and the value of the book. But I will always want to buy a white pager on a Bronze Age book. On a Silver Age book, I want to stick to off-white to white pages. To me, you're always going to get better value for your book when you go to sell it. If you buy a book that's cream to off-white, I'm not saying that you shouldn't buy it. You have to pay the price that it's worth. Okay, so if you see a book on GPA, if you use GPA or you use Go Collect, whatever you use to price your books on eBay, every sale is not comparable. So if you see an 8.0 sell and another 8.0 sell on a Silver Age book or whatever the hell it is, check the page quality, check the presentation. Someone may have paid $500 more for a white pager, or $1,000 more for a white pager on a Silver Age book because it had that white pagers. On a Bronze Age book, maybe it was like $300 more, $400 more because that book has white pages. Is it worth it down the line if you just care about the book? No, it doesn't matter. If you care about the value of the book, you want to stick to the best page quality possible. Now, with that said, I'm going to say this right now. Do I think, and I've had this happen. Years ago, I've had this happen where I've cracked out a book and resent it and gotten different page quality back from cracking a book out. So to me, page quality is a little bit of a farce. Yeah, it is. Right. So everybody's going to have a different opinion. Now they hold up shades to the pages to see what it's supposed to be. So I don't know how off they should be, but it happens. It happens. But we're talking about value, that page quality does matter. Jay, I hope that answers your question. Black Tiger says, Black Tiger Arcade is my favorite. I've never heard of that one either, brother. Send me that on Instagram if you can. Interesting. The Bradman book then is like the Pacific Spawn era variant when they found a lawn box. Patel Philippe, you are extremely generous, my friend. Thank you so much. Okay, Bello, from one Spidey collector to another. If you're completing your ASM 1 to 100 run, do you prefer all graded until 100? At what issue would you go raw? So from somebody who has this, and I've completed my run, and I'm 1 to 301, and actually I'm 1 to the end of the McFarlane run, and I forget which issue ends McFarlane's ASM run on that. But I have a few more after that. I have Eric Larson books because I love Eric Larson Spider-Man. All my books are raw. The only books that I've graded are AF15, ASM1, ASM50, ASM 129, and ASM 39. That's my favorite cover of all time. And the only reason they're graded is because they're signed. They're signed by Stan Lee. They're signed by John Romita. ASM 1 is not signed, but the rest of them are. So everything else is raw. If you feel more comfortable buying graded books because you want, definitive value, then I would say buy only the keys slabbed, right? For ASM, we're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 9, 14, 15, 20, so on and so forth. 50, 129, 101, all that stuff. So buy the key slabbed if that makes you feel better, and everything else I'm buying raw. If there's not a key, spend the least amount of money on it, because I want to spend the money on the most important books. I've always said that. Save your money on the other stuff, because at the end of the day, as much as we love Spider-Man, I really try to spend the money on the important stuff. Phil Ailing, what's going on, my friend? A long time sub at the channel. What's happening to Funko Pops? Why are they dropping? They've been dropping for a long time, man. I listened to Beyond Wednesdays, Brian and his crew. I don't know if it was last week or the week before, they talked about the death of the Funko Pop, and they've been dying for a long time. I remember 5 years ago, I thought they were dying. There's just too many out there. That's just my opinion. There are too many out there. They're always a fad. They're nothing but a display piece. There's no, I mean, some of them maybe have some nostalgia to them. Like if you have a Skeletor one for a He-Man collector, like that's cool. But outside of that, I don't think they're collectible, but at the same time, they're too mass produced. That's it in a nutshell, in my opinion. Times when Lawrence cried. Wedding day, birth of his children, Motu movie. So let me correct you, Derek. I love you, brother. I do. I maybe teared up a little bit on my wedding day. Maybe a little bit when she's walked down aisle. Maybe I didn't cry. I never birthed any children because I have 2 stepsons. That's number 2. The Motu movie, there's no question in my mind that I'm going to cry. But when my dog passed, that is the worst I've ever felt in my life. So that's about it. When my dad goes too, it'll be that same feeling. Oh, brother, man, that was awesome. Braddock 843. Do you see the comic hobby bouncing back like the sports card hobby has passed COVID? I feel like the community in comics is strong. I agree that the community in comics is strong. I don't know that the value is going to be there in the short term because of the fear. There's a lot of fear, and there's a lot of books out there. There's a lot of books for sale. There's a lot of books out there for every genre. There's a lot of, we can talk about golden age, like that's your scarcest age of books, and everything from Silver Age on, you can go out and you could find tomorrow. You could find right now if you go on eBay. You could find right now if you go on Instagram. So the availability of all these books is what's caused the market to crash. And I think, you could point a little bit to the movie and the superhero fatigue. I think they added a little bit, but I think it's more the volume of what's out there, and people kind of, they know what's up. I was talking about with my buddy Rohan over at Back in the Game Comics on Instagram just before, how the average collector is a lot more savvy nowadays. So you're seeing them be smarter with their money. They're putting money to work and on better books, and they're being really picky also with the page quality and presentation. That's also factoring into why books have dropped in price, because I'm not going to spend top dollar on a book that I don't think is at the top of the heap of that book, right? If we're talking about ASM 129, we're talking about the grade 7.5. Like, it doesn't mean, like, I've owned 7 copies at one point. I didn't care what the grade was because I just loved the book. But with that said, man, like, we have really savvy collectors right now, really savvy collectors, and that's part of it. On page quality, everyone should have an Overstreet Owl card in their toolkit. I agree with that. The problem is like, if you're going to go to a show and break that out, and if you, here's the thing, a lot of people, if they go to show, maybe that's one of their outlets to buy comics, but most people aren't buying comics at a show. Like, they'll buy on Instagram, they'll buy on Shortbox, they'll buy on auction houses, they'll buy on eBay, wherever they buy comic books. Yes, the con and the show is maybe like their top priority, but a lot of the books right now, I think, are being sold without that in-person factor. And that's what's different now than it was back in the day. But I agree with you. Everyone should have one on them. if they're going somewhere to buy comics. Dan T says ASM 39 was the first we got in Danish, so that's special for us here. Again, John Romita's first issue on Amazing Spider-Man, he hit it. He hit the ground running in that issue. To me, it was a memorable cover, memorable story. It's right up there with ASM 50 for me as being like part of me personally, because I absolutely love Romita and the stories he put out. Also, I know obviously he didn't do the writing, but maybe he helped with the writing a little bit. But that brought it all together. When you have the cover art, the story, the interior together, and they match and they mean something to you, that's what draws you in. And that's what we really talked about today with the Masters of the Universe film, because if you're a Motu fan, that heart of this movie, that's what they talked about today, is really what's going to put it over the top. Patel, you're right. I skipped 13, no question as a key. I love Mysterio, yes. And it's still rather cheap. You can get a mid-grade book for under $500 now for that book. Or maybe not mid-grade, maybe a little bit less than that. But either way, you're right. I did miss that one. We're talking about it. Reef the Sea Forever. Hello. How are you, my friend? Thanks for popping in. I'm not sure if they're going to end my stream over on Instagram or not, but Abs says over on Instagram, Abs AZB Comics, funny you mentioned that. I feel like people only pay attention to page quality when it's graded and not raw. It's 100% correct. If you're buying a book raw, that's probably the last thing you're going to notice when you're buying the book. You're looking at the cover, you're looking at the presentation, you're flipping through it, making sure everything's there, complete. Maybe you're talking to whoever's selling the book saying there's no resto on this book. If you're really savvy, you have like a flashlight going or a black light going, I should say, looking through the book if you're in a dark space. Not a lot of guys do that, but I have seen them do it at some shows. So yes, page quality is the last thing. But I will say, sometimes it's easy to spot from the outside if we have some foxing, stuff like that, where especially on the back or the front cover, on the edges, you'll see it inside. All right, this is definitely not going to be a white pager. It's not even probably going to be an off-white to a white. It might be a cream to off-white, something along those lines. So yes, 100%. That's usually the thing that's overlooked. A lot of great questions tonight, guys and gals, if any gals are here. Hello, do you think newsstands from 2000, 2017 are underrated right now? I do not. I'm not a big modern guy. There's a few modern books I'd like to own that were put out, but for me, modern now has to be about story, not about collectability. We saw the run up, in 2020, 2021 about some of those newsstands, especially with Ultimate Fallout 4. They kind of went crazy in price. Yes, I'm not saying they're not scarce, they are, but just from the collectors that I know and that I talk to and that I see, they don't go as far as into modern books as some other collectors. So I just personally steer clear of that thing. So I don't think that they're underrated at all. But I'm more of a vintage guy, so maybe I'm not the person to ask about that. Black Spider says those demon toys killed Funko. Jano says Patel's wife just put him on $2 questions. It's all good, man. Anytime anybody wants to support the channel, and Patel has been one of my biggest supporters every time I do a live stream asking questions. He doesn't have to do it, but I do really appreciate it, guys. It does help the channel out because, like I said, I try to put stuff into videos and it does help with me buying equipment. I recently had to get a new lapel mic for some other videos that I want to do, so it does help. Reef the Sea Forever. My brother has ASM 21 signed by Stan Lee. We met Stan, and Stan was nice enough to sign and stack his silver ASM and FF books when we were kids. Just the fact that you got to meet Stan Lee is awesome. I never got to meet the man. It's one of the things that I think I missed out on, being a collector. Meeting him and John Romita Sr., two people who I've really loved to meet. I'll throw Jack Kirby in there as well. Todd McFarlane is someone who I would love to meet, but I'd love to have a conversation with him. Maybe hopefully one day he'll want to come on the channel and I could ask him maybe some questions that nobody has ever asked him before. He's been on a ton of YouTube channels and he's answered a ton of questions, Todd, but I'd love to ask him a few things that maybe he's never gotten asked before. Oh man. Toy Binging says you will cry when you see the movie. There's no question. I have no question. When I heard on the trailer that the trailer ends with him raising the power sword, and you hear him say, "By the power of Grayskull," and that's how it ends. So If that comes to fruition, there's no question in my mind. I'm going to cry at the fucking trailer. It's just too much pent up waiting for this. How many times did we have been waiting for them to make this movie? It went from being made in the early 2000s to then skipped around to skipped around to skipped around. We've been waiting 40 plus years for this movie to come out. And it has to be done right. And from all the things that I'm hearing, they are doing it right. So it's a powerful IP. For anybody who's not a Masters Universe fan, it is a powerful IP to people my age, all across the world, not just in the United States. Christopher Deschambeau. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right. I tried to get that. I hope I got it. If you could get Hulk 180 6.0 with off-white for 700 Canadian dollar, or instead save my money for a 181. Personally, I don't even need to look at the price. I'm going to tell you this. I'd rather have a 181 than a 180. I would focus on the 181 first, no matter what. No matter what. I don't care what the price is. As long as you're paying market value for a 181, I'm always buying that book first. That's the more important book. I hope that answers your question, Chris. Save your money, buy the more important books first. I've always said that. Even if you're doing a run, buy the expensive books first, the more important books first. You will not regret it. And yes, I did understand your question about it being Canadian. I don't care. To me, it's not about variants and stuff like that. I understand it's more rare, but I'd rather own the book because I'm a Wolverine fan. I'm going to say this: unless you can get the 180 for cheap and you want to flip it to make money to buy the 181, that's the ideal situation. So let me answer it that way, because that's the real answer. If you could flip it, make money, and buy the 181, that's what I'm doing. Oh man, Reef, where are you? He said it's raining like crazy out there. Our streets are closed down. Where are you located, brother? Still only 35 cents also makes a great point. The pool of buyers is smaller as collectors have increasingly got the keys they want. No question. 100%. The older we get as collectors, the more books we acquire. So there's less that we're actually looking for. That's what I basically happened to me, right? I found everything that I want to find. Now I'm not buying as many books anymore. I'm barely buying any books. I've focused my attention on other things. Hence, I've been trying to show you guys this for the past 40 minutes. But I have a near complete set of original Series 1 Garbage Pail Kids. So if you don't know, I sold my whole set 1 through 8 of Garbage Pail Kids, and I want to try to reacquire original series 1 and original series 2 and original series 3. That's it. And I want to try to find them in decent condition and on the cheap. So I'm not going to go through everyone, but there we have it. There's like 70 of them here, so I'm maybe missing about 12 or whatever it is. So that's what I was able to pick up. I'm happy at least I got to show you guys tonight. But a nasty Nick there in decent shape. Decent shape, but a little bit off-centered. But it's okay. Tacoma Geek. Hello, my fellow retail RPH. For now, sticking to ASM keys, picked up a 9.4 white pager of 124 and 125. Manwolf, very nice. Congrats. Reese says Manwolf is always misunderstood. Black Spiders. I never liked Newsstand. I like the Spidey head on the corner better. Just saying. I think that's how we all felt as a kid, right? When I did the podcast with Manu, the 9.9 Newsstand, he said the same thing. Like as a kid, you don't want the Newsstand. It didn't look right. It didn't look as good. And I got a lot of my books from the Newsstand. So I was like a little disappointed. Like, where are these guys getting all these Spider-Man logos? I didn't understand that as a kid. But now, of course, if I had known what I would have known, I would have made myself a lot of money by keeping those books in pristine condition. Another $2 chat, super chat, Patel Philippe. Thank you, brother. Chamber of Chills 19 versus Crime Suspense Stories 22. I'm going Chamber of Chills number 19. I've always loved that glass over the skull cover of the woman. It's just incredibly inventive. Incredibly inventive cover. And that's what I really loved about pre-code horror is the inventiveness of those covers. Crime at 22 is great with the woman's head chopped off and he's carrying her out. Great. Grotesque cover. I love it. But that suspense, that Chills 19 to me, I think that's might be the top pre-code horror cover of all time. It's open to debate, but these two are definitely in a debate, but I would go Chamber of Chills number 19. Motu's a hell of a drug. Rick James. Derek, you're hysterical, man. You're on fire tonight. You're on fire tonight. So look who it is. The man himself dropping by to say what up, getting ready for his show in a little bit in just under 38 minutes. So we're going to end this stream soon. So these guys could go get themselves ready, get themselves set. Maybe someday they'll be man enough to invite me on the channel, invite me on, the live stream to talk with them again and talk about everything comics and so on and so forth. So Mickey, if you hear this, brother, send the shout out whenever you guys are ready. Tacoma Geek, a couple more questions here, guys, and I'm going to end it out. What are your thoughts on ASM 20 and the Scorpion? First of all, I'm super excited to see the Scorpion in Brand New Day. It's a character we've been long awaiting to see in the Master Universe movie. Holy shit! You see where my mind is now. In a Spider-Man movie, the other one to me is the Rhino, and the Rhino done right is something I would really love to see. That 90s animated Rhino, because he was iconic to me. I want him in a movie. And there's rumors that somebody saw a Rhino head on the set. I don't know. I can't confirm nor deny, but I want to own the book. I own the book, but don't overpay for the book. A lot of copies out there. You could still get a nice 3-4 roll for around $400, which is, to me, it's a no-brainer. If you're a Spidey fan, a Silver Ray's book, a first appearance for that amount of money, I'm a buyer all day long. You have to own it at that price. Derek says, to me, newsstands are like page quality. You and me might not care so much, but some people care a lot. So when it comes to liquidate your stuff, it might make it easy, 100%. The grades, newsstands, variants, all that stuff is a numbers game. It's about value. Understand that, right? Characters, runs. If you buy a Spider-Man book or an X-Men book, chances are you'll be able to sell those books pretty easily. Batman, same thing. But outside of that, those characters, these number-based books, value-based books, they'll be easier to liquidate, as Derek says. He's 100% right about that. But I probably need to do another one of these videos because maybe a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, I put out a video say, what type of collector are you? And I always reference some of my older videos because I've done a lot. It's like 1,000 videos I've done, which is wild. Some of my earlier videos, and it's not too long ago, I've talked about certain things. And that video about what kind of collector are you is really, really important. You have to figure out what you want to be and what's the best way you're going to go about collecting things, because down the line, if you don't think about it now, it's going to be a lot harder on you. So keep that in mind. Mr. Muto, welcome aboard. I was at the Motu screening. I don't want to use my regular account, so I switched. Yes, the movie kicked ass, and you will definitely cry. Mr. Motu, you're making my heart race right now, my friend. Unbelievable. I can't. Everybody knows how excited I am about this movie. Like, I don't want it spoiled because I've been waiting so long. I don't want to. I'm getting choked up now just thinking about it. But I want to go with other Motu fans. I'm going to take my youngest son. He said he would go. But outside of that, I want to go with other Motu fans, and I'm going to be screaming with applauding on the theater if it's that good. I said that to Jay as well when we had the podcast, that I'm going to be at the screen applauding and screaming and clapping and crying all the same freaking time. Swag says you're invited. Your channel is in the description. Oh, brother. I never caught that one. I don't know what that means, but I appreciate you, brother. Anytime you want me on, I'm always happy. All four of you guys are awesome. So again, guys, I want to thank you for everybody out there who's kind of hung out with me a little bit tonight. We started this thing around 10 after 6. It's now 7:30. I want to give these guys some time to everybody can funnel into them and check out their pod tonight. And all four guys do a great job. They do talk about a lot of important things in the comic and collecting space. So make sure you go check them out at 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 Pacific. And again, thank you for everybody. And I showed you a lot of great things, and we talked about a lot of great things today. So if you ever want to talk to me about anything, whether it be comics, toys, Garbage Pail Kids, trading cards, collectibles, anything you guys want, you can always reach out to me on Instagram, Mighty Comics _collectibles. Of course, you could always email me as well, but Instagram is always easier, or Facebook or Twitter. I'm on there too. But so much stuff is coming that I'm working on here that I'm just trying to find the time to do it. But just stick with me. The best is yet to come, guys. Appreciate